Video recording.
Hello, video.
Audio recording.
Hello, audio.
Warning.
For the W, a Wisconsin sports podcast.
May contain language that you don't want your children to hear.
Lewd, crude, and inappropriate content could be around any corner of this podcast, but that does not mean we do not have the best in the landscape of Wisconsin sports podcasting.
Packers, Badgers, Bucks, this week necessarily in that order, and Brewers are coming around the corner, but before we get there, we got to close out this Packer season.
Marquette making waves too.
It's getting exciting in Wisconsin, and we hope you'll listen in and find out all about it.
Thanks for listening.
For the spelled like words.
Oh, hey there, John.
Oh, hey there, Nick.
And we're back, and we're doing it live one more time.
Yes,
it feels good.
It does feel good, Nick. It's an interesting time in the state of Wisconsin and its current sports landscape to me because I expected the Packers to still be playing.
Yeah, Packers not currently playing.
No.
Kind of disappointing. I really got my frustrations out last week.
Yeah.
This is it sucks, man.
It sucks. It sucks, and it's not where I thought we'd be.
No.
But that's okay, because we're fucking good at this, Nick.
I was having fun until you brought that up. Why'd you have to bring that up again?
We're rocking right back into the normal swing of things post-Packers this week. And, Nick, there's a lot to look forward to. And so I think that's what we're going to do starting with the Packers this week.
Yeah, I'm going to start looking at the options of the future, what could change there. I would be excited to see some moves. I know you yourself are as well. So we'll definitely talk about that in this week's Titletown Transmission.
Excited like pulling a steak out of your heart, you know?
Yeah, like my dad tells this story about he was out fishing and he got a hook in his finger, like past the barb. Oof. And basically couldn't get it back out. So ended up pushing it all the way through. That's what we're kind of doing here. We're pushing the hook all the way through our finger and hoping we don't get tetanus in the process.
Yeah. And we do have to be careful because I also have been around a fishing hook accident. One of my cousins, who will remain nameless because I know it's a touchy subject within the family unit, was fishing at Jick Jack's cottage, my grandpa's cottage. Nick, you've been. So they were out on the pier fishing, and she winds back, or he winds back, and casts, and it caught another of my cousins in the lip like a fish. And yeah, the barb went through. And as I said, Nick, this caused family drama that I now am still a little hesitant and a little worried now putting this out into the public sphere. And so we have to be careful as we pull this fish hook out that, you know, family ties, friendships, casual relationships of any kind are as minimally impacted because we might hurt players' feelings. You know,
as we go on, we remember.
Yeah, all the times we spent together, and that's a great way to look at things. So, but after the Packers, we'll do the Badgers, Bucky Bugle.
Dude, the Bugle is back. Badgers are continuing their win streak, which is, I mean, pretty much what we expected the last two opponents, but we'll talk about that as well because this is still an exciting squad, and, you know, Big Ten's a good conference. So,
and they're number one in it.
Yeah. So even in spite of our recent loss to Michigan State, you know, some things work out sometimes. So, hey,
yeah.
I'm pleased, very pleased.
You can tell the Packers loss has permeated because sometimes some things work out, I guess. You know, like maybe.
Well, and that dovetails perfectly into what we're going to talk about in Cream City this week because, man, the Bucks, well, we went and saw them on Friday night. That was cool. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
But also, man, it's been difficult. I mean, we got to see a good game, but it's been difficult being a Bucks fan lately.
Dude, I mean, especially considering the type of fan you have to be a Bucks fan, where it was always about finding the little victories throughout the regular season. So you paid really close attention to the regular season because that was the only season that mattered.
Still is.
Juxtapose that against, now where it seems like sometimes the Cleveland loss, we joked about it last week, where Giannis is eating chicken wings after. I did see somebody tweet after the Nuggets loss that just occurred yesterday that there is probably no chance of him eating chicken wings after this one because they got shellacked by Denver. But we got to see the Bucks at their best on national television.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No less.
And we got a lot of thoughts and feelings about what transpired over those hours. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. So we'll definitely talk about all that good stuff. So Packers, Badgers, Bucks, another good episode of that. John, we have to do a giveaway announcement.
Giveaway announcement?
Yes. So as everyone knows, episode 100.
Everyone.
And it's too late. I'd say go back and listen, but it's too late now.
Yeah, you already listened, but you forgot to enter the contest.
Yeah, so you didn't win. But if you did enter and you still are hoping to win, and we've done some sleuthin and truthin on the folks that went through and properly put the password in place and subscribed, and we appreciate you all that entered. But we have a winner, Mr. Zach Johnson, somewhere in Texas. Zach, we're going to get you a pair of
My
those
wife's
Zoom.
originally from Texas.
And I was born in Texas.
And you were born in Texas.
It's a beautiful place. So Zach will get in touch here. And unless you get in touch with us first.
Yep.
But yeah, he's the winner of the Giannis Zoom Freak 3s for the fan giveaway. So very much appreciate everyone that participated as we gave away a pair of Nikes for our 100th episode. So that was a lot of fun.
If you want to congratulate Zach on his victory, the perfect way to do that is to rate, review, subscribe to the For the W Wisconsin Sports Podcast.
We didn't really have any follow-up with the winner afterwards. It would be cool if, like, down the line we could have Zach on the pod or something.
Absolutely.
So that'd be interesting. But also, it'd be great if we could get Greek Alphabet Soup on the podcast.
Yeah, Greek Alphabet Soup. Invitation still stands.
Yeah, hit us up. Happy to have you anytime.
Absolutely.
And, man, I don't know. Where do we go from here?
We know where we go. We go straight north. And Nick, the weather down in Chicago has been very temperamental. It's been very cold, very, very cold.
It's a windy city.
Those snaps from the polar vortex will hit. But then it was very warm towards the end of the weekend and going into the week. What do you think it's like here in the Northwoods right about now, this time of year? Is there beginning to be a trickling of spring waters under the ice, or is it still a little bit early?
Yeah, it's early, man. It's early. God. We're not even to February yet, so.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah, I got to get up there. Usually I like to get up there on ice fishing season.
Yeah. I'm surprised that I haven't heard much activity about sauna culture or anything, but
and that's the issue is, like, usually we go up there Like last year, my stepbrother and my dad were like, "Let's go ice fishing." I drilled a bunch of holes. I went out, I did my my bibs and the whole get up. Got out there, helped out on the ice. Then I drilled a couple bigger holes up by the sauna, and I filled up a couple buckets of water and just hung out in the sauna. So that was cool. I drank a bunch of beers, and it was a good day.
It sounds like a great day.
Dude, they were out there fishing for like 8 hours.
Fools.
And then I'm like looking out the window at them with their tip ups, and they're sitting around, and they caught a couple.
Good for them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I probably 8 beers in the sauna at the same time.
I've often found that fishing can be a sport that is equally enjoyable vicariously as well.
Yeah, I was there with them. I helped I did the work,
It's like you're in a nice warm cottage looking out over the lake and you see them and you're like, I get it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I
like a couple very specific fishing expeditions, and it's like the vicarious is always good, but like charter fishing, we've done a couple of these charter boats. You go out with a guide, you're guaranteed to get something. That's always a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so
I've done that in Alaska.
Yeah, that would be a great place to do it, I'm sure.
Yeah. But Nick, as you know, around the fire, even in these cold environs,
you got some quotes?
I can get you lukewarm on a segment that I've been pushing upon you for at least 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah, is this what I think it is?
Nick, let's just open the Wisconsin quotes and from famous people Bible that I've got.
Let's do
here.
that. Yeah, let's do it.
This week I was thinking a lot about the Packers, right?
Yeah,
Very
of course.
sad.
Of course.
I was thinking a lot about the Badgers playing pretty well, but with some big games coming up. And I was thinking a lot about the Bucks, who have been really up and down and making us wonder, are they serious as a contender or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is all really deep shit, Nick. This is all really deep, and I don't want to deal with that. I want to laugh.
Fair.
And I thought, who in Wisconsin history makes me laugh? And it's obvious. Chris Farley.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's good. I like it. Okay, I like where we're going with this now. Let's see where this goes.
And this is, as usual, the ghosts of Wisconsin past offer sage advice for our teams as they move forward.
Always. Yeah.
And just a short quote from Chris Farley that really grabbed me and kind of applied to all three was, basically, I only play one character. I just play him at different volumes. And that's the type of mentality that you hope to see from a Bucks team that is in and out of their best players throughout this season, whether it's Dante is injured, whether it's Giannis is out, COVID for Chris, or for Drew, COVID for Chris. Everybody's been in and out. You just want to see them play the same way, just like Chris Farley did. That was the goal. Chris Farley couldn't have played one character, but at different volumes better than Chris Farley. Bucks have not necessarily lived up to that high standard, but they're on their way. Yep. Same thing with the Badgers. Play defense, win the games around the margin.
The pyramid of success is tumbling.
It's a lot of weird feelings this week. But then also with the Packers, like, this is the greatest organization in the history of the NFL. When you Google the NFL and it asks who has the most championships, the Green Bay Packers are the team that they list. Let's be that organization moving forward into the great unknown that is this upcoming offseason. So thank you, Chris Farley. Another incredible Wisconsinite from Madison.
Knows what's up.
Yep. Achieved a pinnacle of success. Died before his time, we know, but lived quite fully.
Yes, very fully, we'll say. He was a big fan of many a Wisconsin sport, and he also
mostly vicarious fishing, I'm sure.
And he also,
I bet Chris Farley loved vicarious fishing.
Apparently, he was a rugby player.
Big man.
Yeah. Apparently, he played rugby. I was told by I would say a good source.
Okay.
At Marquette, I believe it was.
Okay.
And yeah, so that was a discussion I had with a person recently.
Excellent.
A pretty good source, though, I will say.
Man, I feel better after being up here in the Northwoods already.
Yeah, man. So where are we heading next?
Not too far away. We're going to take a drive down through Green Bay.
Green Bay, Wisconsin?
Yes, indeed. You're now listening to Titletown Transmission, the unauthorized and underground radio of the Green Bay Packers.
For the W presents the story of a team that grew out of a small port town.
80,000 tailgaters every Sunday.
Statues of legendary coaches, Vince Lombardi and Curly Lambeau, welcome those fans.
Owned by the citizens of every county in the state of Wisconsin.
Devondre Soup Campbell.
Jair Alexander.
Razul Douglas.
Devondre Soup Campbell.
Preston Smith.
Corey Borkie Bandwagon Bjorkhead.
Love the Borkie Bandwagon, man. That's a great reference to something that a lot of people really got in touch with this year. A lot of people now on the Borkie Bandwagon, very happy to be there.
Tons of people here.
It's good stuff, man.
Tons of people on the Borkie Bandwagon.
People are telling us about it all the time. Lots of folks, hey, is that Borkie? And people are catching on. They get the Borkie.
As we drive through their town with our instruments and animals.
Yeah, so will he get blocked more, or are we going to see a Borkies 2 here next year for his second round?
Blocked more or blocked for, one of the things is going to happen. We don't know which, but either way, that dude is good. I think we got something in Borkie.
He was good until it got cold, but I think that's true of a lot of NFL teams.
Yeah,
and,
like the Packers especially this year.
Dude,
They
well,
were good until
that's what
it
I'm
got
saying.
cold.
It wasn't a good deal for them. Like, as much as they're like, we relish being in the cold, like, they didn't.
No, they look, and you know what we say on this podcast, Nick? If it's too cold,
You're
too old.
That's right. That is one of our these things that we believe.
I think that's pretty apt.
Where is like the full list? I think if you go to forthew.buzzsprout.com, we probably have the full. It's these things we believe.
It is. It was made 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
it
we'll
was
have
a while.
to check in on it.
Which, by the way, I ripped that off from a SC Johnson training film. These things we believe. Anyone that's worked at SC Johnson probably
Maybe we'll
knows.
have to do a promotional video for the YouTube channel of these things we believe in like a training video style.
Oh, that would be, dude. I think that's perfect.
All right,
let's
coming
write
soon.
that down.
Coming soon. Yeah.
Yeah, these things we believe. All right,
Ooh.
and if you don't believe me, it's hard to believe. Dude, the Packers lost last weekend.
Dude, it's fucking terrible. I can't believe it. Especially, did you watch the NFC Championship?
I have not watched a second of football since the Packers went out.
I figured you were,
dude. I'm in
silent
mourning.
on the
I'm
group
in
thread.
mourning, man.
I could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell you were silent. I was like, Nick is not watching any of this.
And I was doing something else when you guys were doing it, but I was living vicariously for sure. But I had nothing good to offer other than that I really wanted to like bait Meyer into like some like. I don't know, the Ravens suck conversation.
Well, he did post something about like go Lions, and I think it's because he meant that like he thought Bengals were Lions, but I informed him they're Tigers.
That was funny. I was just like
I
following
hope that's what you were doing, Ryan, but that's what it sounded like you were doing.
He was confused. But yeah, I can always tell too what's going on by who's liking the comment. Like at one point, Geaver was like, Jimmy G is going out like Brett Favre would have wanted. And I saw like a bunch of people liked and laughed at it. I was like, okay, this is good.
Yeah, we got to get Meyer on the pod.
Yeah, we should get Meyer on the pod.
Meyer, you got to come on the pod.
Yeah, he doesn't listen anymore, I don't think. But
we got to get him back listening. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he doesn't like any Wisconsin teams.
No, he likes the Badgers and that's it.
He's a total bandwagon fan, and not the kind that we actually support. He's like an outsourcing bandwagon.
Yeah,
you know,
especially in
supporter.
basketball.
Yeah, Golden State, whatever the fuck that is. Anyway.
And talk about bandwagons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people about to jump off the Packers bandwagon if Nick gets his way. Let it be known, let it be put in on the record, official, that Nick James hopes to God, as a Nickstradamus, that we kind of gut and sell off parts of this team. I don't think it's going to need to be as big as some people would, but honestly, I think it's time that we start looking at a future that doesn't have number 12. I did actually a segment on this, like kind of a little brief where I think he could go and why and like trade
for the
trade
W
options.
Shorts. Check it out on YouTube, please.
Yeah, so Talked about that this week. But looking at Aaron, it's like he costs a lot in the cap. I know Jordan Love isn't quite there yet, but is he serviceable, and is he going to get there? And we're going to find out a lot this offseason.
Yeah, we sure are.
But you look at like the cap situation, and you and I talked about this. Well, how do we want to do this? So we have a lot of stuff to go over because we have coaching moves. We've got some stuff to talk about there. We've got kind of, I guess, where we think like some of the roster moves could come.
Yeah, so I think we each picked our 3 players this week because they were a player we wanted to talk about.
Yes,
going into this offseason. So why don't you start with your first one?
Yeah, Devondre Soup Campbell, who I believe is also your second.
Yes.
Okay. So I would really like to see us clear enough space to give Soup a spot. Like the fact that he was an all-pro, I don't even think it can be understated. He was a linchpin. When he was not in there, this was a totally different defense. I mean, even in the playoffs, a heartbreaking loss, our defense played phenomenally in that game. 13 points given up.
A Packer defense didn't allow a touchdown, and we lost.
Yeah, 6 of those were just the only points. The other 7 weren't even their fault. So that was a great defensive performance, and I don't think it's been talked about enough because it was such a disappointing loss.
It was dominant.
Yeah, they played very well, and if not for some miscues and some open receivers, we got into that last week's episode. But I think looking to the future, it would be really nice to see Devondre get a real spot, become the team leader that he clearly is, and just really anchor that defense, man.
Yep, that's what I had too. I had, as like you said, as my second one, keep Soup. He was a transformative player for this defense. The type of guy that we've been searching for, it seems like for almost a decade, to really be the perfect puzzle piece that plugs in and puts us over the top as far as a physical defense type of standpoint, because
not only physical too, but fast and physical.
Yes, exactly. The athleticism across the board, especially when you factor in, I mean, Jair coming back. So he's my first guy. Jair, another one.
Let's talk about Jair.
Jair coming back, assuming that we're able to retain at least Clark, Soup, maybe Gary. And Jair is another one of that. He's so interchangeable.
Yeah.
As far as his skill set on the defensive side of the field, that I think both of those guys, as we enter into this new era that we both, I think, assume is coming, defense needs to be the priority. At least for the first year of Jordan Love, if we want to still contend. And this team has the talent to contend.
And that's the thing when you look at the defense, we're stacked at a lot of positions. Yeah. Now, I do want to see some moves, and we might talk about this a bit. I've got one on my list that I'm actually putting on my list as one that I hope we move or maybe greatly restructure, but we've already kind of kicked some cans down the road. I would really like to see us move on from Preston Smith. And I hate to say it because I think he had a great year this year, but unless they can restructure him, I don't know how much time he's got left. His cap number is huge, and we're going to have to be looking. There's really, from a cap perspective, the Packers are like $50 million over right now, going into the, in the supposed cap year. How do we keep Aaron and Devontae? I think this is the year you got to move it because like there's no way we can afford it. I mean, Zadarius looks like one that we'll probably see moved. One way or another, cut, traded, I don't know. But I'd like to see Preston included in that. And it's not like because I really hate these guys or anything, but I think it's like based off the numbers we were looking at over the cap earlier, it's kind of what needs to be done to get us from really handicapping out our salary cap too many years in the future. As like stupid as that is, because that's just the modern day NFL.
Well, and the other thing too with Preston Smith is like you said, he had a resurgent year this last year.
He was great.
It was almost like easier last year because he was so disappointing, I thought, from what we saw the year before. And the truth is that he was just never healthy, it seemed like now. Like looking back in hindsight, that was not the same guy who was playing this year for us. It was like last year it was like easy to just say, all right, Preston, like we got Gary coming. But the Packers kept him because, like many of their moves last offseason, it was all win now for this last season, and we didn't. We lost. And so now we got to kind of, as disappointing as this is, pick up the pieces from that. And I think Preston Smith, especially with the emergence of Rashawn Gary and some of the other younger guys that showed flashes on this team, we can get maybe 75% of that production out of 2 other guys that are, affordable for us to keep, that will allow us to spend that money in places that we don't have those guys. And I also wanted to mention Borkie, because he should be the only special teams player we retain.
Yeah, we should let Crosby out.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the long snapper.
I don't care about any of them.
Yeah, at this point. And I don't know necessarily that LaFleur is going to get rid of the special teams coordinator, but it's got to be on his mind, man. That was pretty horrific. And we were talking about this a few weeks ago, just a couple seasons ago, as LaFleur was putting his staff together. And I can't remember, Rizzi, the special teams coordinator, ended up going to the Saints. He was trying to come to Green Bay. They lowballed him. And then they actually ended up offering him a little bit more, but he felt so like...
Which has been a bit of a theme we think about now with... And I hadn't thought about this till you mentioned this, I think on the group thread or maybe last week, but the lowball offer for him, which is, like you said, a guy that LaFleur wanted, and then the lowball offer for Jim Leonard is also something to keep an eye on. I don't know what that is. Who knows? But we're not in those meetings, but it's just interesting thinking of those two things in conjunction.
And I wonder what the case is. Like, I don't know. Do coaches' salaries affect the cap? I don't believe they affect the cap in any way. I think that just comes off the books.
Right.
So it's interesting. It's something to keep an eye on. I like this as a theme.
And we spent so much money on the field.
Why wouldn't you want to have a better? I mean, don't get me wrong. All the respect in the world to Joe Barry this year, but Jim Leonard.
Joe Barry.
But
Jim Leonard.
Yeah, if Joe Barry could have been an option. I mean, they both had great years. Obviously, Jim Leonard at the NCAA Division I level, and Joe Barry here, in the pros. So
yeah,
that was good stuff, man. Sorry, so this is all to say I hope they move on from Preston Smith. Who else do you got? We talked about Jair, right?
Yeah, we talked about Jair, we talked about Soup, and we talked about Borkie. And the special team. So that's all for me. Okay,
and so my last one is Rasul Douglas, and that's why I'm glad we talked about Jair as well. We got to pay Jair first. He's the priority. Now, he's on that 5th-year option. He's got a good chunk of change coming in this year. This could be a year where you could see us sign him to a long-term deal. Maybe we reduce his cap number this year to, say, rather than 13 mil, to 10 or maybe even as low as 8. I don't know what the actual range would be there, but that they would pay him out in later years. And, obviously he would have a signing bonus. So that could save us some cap this year and still allow us to retain his services. Maybe that's enough, a few million saved to keep Rasul, to keep Devondre Campbell, and other guys who we talked about that are pretty high. Obviously, Randall Cobb, $6 million in savings if we see him out the door.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some guys leaving for sure.
Dean Lowry comes to mind. He's played all right, but there's guys that are paid less than him that produce more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys you could say what if, I suppose, on the roster.
Yeah, all that stuff, it's tough because we weren't expecting to lose this early. We didn't expect to have to sit on our hands and knees and wait for this cap figure to come, which looks like 208.2 is kind of what we're looking at the most at what we've seen put out there, which is up from last year, but not up enough to make any significant difference on us. Like you said, we're over, what is it, 50 million over the salary cap for next year already?
Yeah, we're the second highest. The only one higher than us is the Saints at roughly 75 million. The next closest to us is Dallas with 21 million. So we're pretty far beyond the pale, and the Saints are too. And I'm surprised that we are, but it makes sense when you look at how last year went. We pushed some money out, but the Saints, I've been talking about this for years. That team was sign a free agent, trade up for a higher draft pick. They were really pushing it out, I think, hoping to get something out of the Drew Brees era. And
they won a Super Bowl, so it was worth it.
Yeah,
right.
Before Green Bay won theirs.
Yeah, right. But it's just been it's been this slow deterioration too.
Yeah.
For them, like
I mean, they've got a good team, but like they just don't have those key pieces. They've had all sorts of injuries to Michael Thomas. Kamara's a beast still, but once again, he's kind of injury prone at times. And Jameis, he's just not Drew Brees. Or like Drew Brees 10 years ago, which is
it's a testament to Drew Brees.
He was
they
a
were able to
beast.
stay that good for that long.
Till he was like 75.
I was gonna say Aaron would have to play like 3 more years to get to where he got.
Is
in
it
his
that?
last
Is it that
season.
few? Because I think it's
It
as
might
many as
even
maybe
be-
like 5.
It might be more, and so it's like you think about that. Drew Brees. Hey, hats off to Drew Brees, I guess.
Cheers to Drew, Big
Packers
10 man
offseason.
himself,
Yep,
Purdue Boilermakers. Maybe we bring him back if we move on from Aaron. 1 year stopgap, Breeze to love.
Purdue always comes up on this podcast because you have a bunch of connections. I have a bunch of connections. So we've got if this doesn't go anywhere, we've got the Purdue podcast ready for you. You know,
Oh, Purdue cast.
So,
Purdue.
yeah. Make
spelled
sure
like
you rate,
words.
review, subscribe. But we're doing a Purdue podcast. But
That's good stuff for sure. Anything else to talk on players acquisition, cap? Because we got coaches on the move as well.
no, I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, let's hear it.
The Bears are talking shit. The Bears are talking shit, Nick. The new incoming.
Yeah, so you said the Bears are going to talk shit, and I have to talk shit, but what do I have to talk shit about?
I don't know. You were talking about.
Oh.
Clapping back at the.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
I remember now. But start us off with the Bears. Really get that in the minds, in the hearts of our listeners and viewers, I guess, now.
Absolutely. So the Bears GM, incoming GM.
And the Bears always say this stuff. Every time there's like a new era of Bears ownership, once Aaron trades them with Brett or whatever, they come in and they're like, Packers are the team we're going to beat. So I'm ready to hear it.
Well, so it wasn't even that. I mean, he just came in and said that they were going to take over. It was the Chicago Bears hired the Chiefs' Ryan Poles as their general manager, came in on his interview and he said, well, they're going to take a hold of this division and they won't be letting go. And it's like, dude, like, I don't think, like, you're not even going to be the Chicago Bears in like 5 years. They're going to like Arlington Heights.
The Bears.
The Bears.
I like it. I think it's good.
The
Dude,
Bears.
I don't know what that's going to look like, but the Bears have not done a good job. And honestly, I will say this because this kind of leans right into it. They did bring Luke Getsy in as their offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Who's their coach, though? He's like the defensive coordinator from like the Colts or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like one of these things where the Bears are, I don't know how they make their internal decisions. Here's the thing, when the Packers pick like a nobody, I'm like, dude, they must know something I don't. And usually they do. Like Matt LaFleur, Joe Barry, those are all testaments to that thought process.
Right.
Even Goot to an extent.
Right.
Looking at this, though, the Bears always do this. Like they brought in this guy you've never heard of, and he's like the flavor of the week.
Matt Nagy.
I just hope this continues to be the case.
mean-
If this is like the fake out and they're actually good, that'll suck. But once again, I never have the confidence level when they pick a nobody.
I just look forward to our next Adrian Amos.
Yeah.
So-
Is there another Amos hiding on the roster? Someone that wants to be paid handsomely to play for a good team.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we take all comers.
Yep.
Title of your sex tape.
But also, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett hired by Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Just pushing right past the sex tape.
Yeah. Nice.
Nathaniel Hackett was hired by the Denver Broncos, leading to many talking heads prognosticating about Aaron Rodgers' potential joining of John Elway over there in Denver, so he could become the third best quarterback in a division, I guess. I don't know what appeal Denver has. That division is loaded.
Well, they've talked about it like this whole time, like, and I will say this, I've said it a long time, is that they make it out like Denver's got a great roster. They're just missing a quarterback, but I'm not even sure that's the case.
No.
Like, the thing is,
Von Miller's out there playing in the Super Bowl, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job, Denver.
Yeah.
Really top-notch work there.
But yeah, looking at that roster, maybe they bring Rodgers in, and actually that was a part of one of the locations I talked about on the short this week was that he might go to Denver. That's been talked about. nonstop.
Ad nauseum.
So there's also this talk that like, oh yeah, Hackett's like a bidding piece that can bring Aaron in with it.
Yeah.
And
John Elway's footing the bill for a lot of Adam Schefter like dinner and
yeah,
drinks.
seriously, something's going on with like Schefter is for sure hanging out with Elway.
Yeah.
And then like
Definitely.
what's the other guy? Schlereth is there, like just hanging out in the shadows, like
yeah, just creeping everybody out like always. Sorry, Mark.
Yes, yeah. If you ever want to come on the pod, Mark, we're happy to have you. We didn't mean that.
We didn't mean that.
Maybe we did. I don't know. We did.
I'm just saying the goatee was a dated look for a while. So
who was dating it? But back to this Rodgers thing, because people are
Mark
saying,
Schlereth, if you want to tell us who was dating it, you can come on this podcast and tell us yourself.
Yeah, get your ass over here, Mark. Mark and the W bunch.
Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, as we were talking about, there's no way to me that Aaron is retiring. There's been all this talk lately that like, oh, Aaron's gonna retire. I don't know where it's coming from because there's no basis in reality to me. My thought process is that Aaron he's gonna play this year, whether that's for Green Bay or somebody else. I think he wants to come back to Green Bay, and I think Green Bay would like to keep him, but I think they've already set the wheels in motion of this succession plan. And I mean, unless Aaron's willing to like do some cap restructuring, some funny stuff, I think it's going to be a situation where we're really going to have to be damaging our cap in order to keep it together one more year. But who knows? I don't know. I would like to see it work out that way, but I don't think Aaron retires. I think he would take the trade over a retirement to go to a place like Denver because he's got this chip on it. I don't know if anyone's told you there's a chip. It's on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder.
Chip Kelly, a tiny Chip Kelly.
Maybe. I mean, he did have some. They lost to the Eagles when Chip Kelly was there. Easy for me to say. But so no, it's not Chip Kelly that's on his shoulder, but Aaron just wants to beat everybody.
He does.
So I think if he was gonna find out like they don't want me here, he'd be like, I at least want the chance to beat you guys. So. Maybe that's how he ends up like in Denver. I put a couple of their options. Philly was one of them.
Here's one thing I want to just plant out there into the, zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist, that's a word.
I think that there is a very real possibility because I think about Aaron Rodgers and I think about who he's always been. And I think about how the last year he has become more and more and more accessible to the general public through unfiltered and unedited means. And I know that he thinks of himself as an autonomous dude who can do what he wants and also a leader of men who is good to his people. That I do not think there is a 0% chance that he restructures for significantly less money in Green Bay to allow us to retain some of the players we currently have. And I think that that's something that no one's really thinking about or talking about because it hasn't been leaked, it hasn't been whatever, but I'm just thinking about who Aaron Rodgers is and how much he loves to zag. This dude loves to be.
I think he's pretty predictable, if I'm being honest. I think he's pretty predictable.
I think that he is definitely predictable, and I think that it is in his zagging that he is predictable. It is in the fact that
predict the zaggery.
He likes to be ahead of whatever it is, whether it's the defense, whether it's the Jeopardy contestants that he's reading questions to, whether it's the narratives circling around his potential NFL future. And I don't think this will play out in the way that anyone thinks it will right now. And that got me down a thought rabbit hole of what does Aaron Rodgers really want? And what I think he wants is to win another Super Bowl more than anything. And I think that he thought last year that the Packers were not going to go all in as they did. And maybe the pressure that he applied led to that, or maybe it didn't. But what I do know is that Jordan Love is their handpicked guy, this front office and this coaching staff. There is a transition coming, but I don't think Jordan Love is ready to play at the level of Aaron Rodgers. So if you're Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, why not bring him back and wait till Jordan Love earns the time, earns the reps over this guy? That will be something.
Well, maybe you think you can do better with a guy that only gets his 2 picks of plays that you decide, as opposed to Aaron, who they have to afford special attention to.
Right.
So I wonder if they think, this is where I think the caveat is. There's all this talk that, like,
what if he's the offensive coordinator?
Well, here's the thing. I don't see, and there's been talk of stuff like that. First of all, Adam Stenovich is the new offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Former run game coordinator, former offensive line coach. So that brings us right there. I guess this worked out perfect. The way we set this up.
Thanks, Chris Farley.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Man, he killed it this week. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, brother.
But looking at this team, maybe they think, hey, Jordan Love picking out of the 2 plays that we pick for him, combined with this offensive line that's still good, still intact. We'll have Elton Jenkins back next year. Bakhtiari will be able to start finally. And maybe, I'm knocking on wood on that one, man. But yeah, so the possibility that we could have a team that's really...
I can't believe he didn't play.
Yeah.
Because we were so depressed we didn't even talk about it.
We didn't even mention it.
Yeah, he didn't even play.
Bach was back.
Bach back, episode number 76 this season.
Yeah, so we need him for next season. That's the next time he can play. If he doesn't play next season, he's... It's funny, man.
It's incredible stuff from Bakhtiari this year.
And maybe that's not
back, baby.
Maybe that's not good, though.
Maybe it means he's leaving.
Well, his contract is keeping him here at least through next season. I'll say that.
Okay.
But I would guess that if he's not super old yet, but depending how this heals, that could be one of those things that, when you have a guy like Bakhtiari who's been elite at the position for a bunch of years, and maybe this is like the thing you don't want to talk about, but it's possible that this messed him up more than we realized. Like, obviously they had to go back and redo some work on it. So that's a position to keep an eye on. And you look at it, you got the starter waiting in the wings with Elton Jenkins there. He's played admirably everywhere he's been. He's coming off an ACL. So,
and luckily for Bach, our offense and our special teams made sure to take all the heat off of him and any pressure to play this season away from him by allowing the San Francisco 49ers to beat us.
But back to the point, I guess, is does LaFleur think, all right, Aaron's going to be going somewhere. We can't keep him. I'd love to keep him because he's Aaron Rodgers and he's better than what you've got.
This is a different timeline than mine.
But yes, exactly. But in the back of LaFleur's mind, is it not going through his head that, hey, maybe I'm better than this dude running the show with the way he feels the game out. Maybe I'm better to just have the guy running the plays I want called. And I don't know. It could be interesting. So maybe if I'm LaFleur and I have that mindset, I would come out and I would say, God, I would just love Aaron to come back. Like everyone in the building,
right? All
of us, me, Goot, we're all talking. We love the guy. We'd love to have him back. We're going to do whatever we can. And then you shop him. That's honestly, as much as I love Aaron Rodgers, I love what he's done for the team. I think this is the time. I've made no bones about it.
Something we've talked about from the very beginning of this podcast a few years ago is that because that was the first time Aaron Rodgers' career trajectory with the Green Bay Packers was kind of in question. It never ends well. It never ends well. It never ends well.
And then also, are you making a replacement? Say we have Aaron going out the door. Are we going to be like, well, Jordan's not there, so let's bring in like Cam Newton and run 6 games with Cam? You know what I mean? Like, is that really? It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It's going to be interesting to see, but
hashtag Bortles.
Here's what I'll say. LaFleur's got a job in front of him, and I wouldn't rather have anybody but him at the helm of it.
Absolutely.
So,
and I mean, we have all the pieces in place.
He's got to fire that. He's got to fire that special teams dude. He's got to fucking fire that guy. I'm sorry, Maurice. I know you deserve a job somewhere in the NFL, but bro, you just got more to learn. So, that's all I got on Green Bay, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That's about all I've got as well. So. We talked everything we had on the Packers. Congratulations to Adam Stenovich. Don't want that to get lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
Hopefully Aaron's gone. Did I mention that? Anyway, time for us to take a little trip, John.
Okay.
We're going to take a trip we have not taken in some time on this podcast.
Exciting stuff.
We are going to head south. We're going to go just past the Plainview restaurant on that exit where where the sex shop is.
Yeah.
And we're going to take that all the way to Rosendale.
I think it's called the Lion's Den.
Lion's Den.
Lion's Den, promote us. Just give us a call if you want us to make a commercial for you.
For the Lion's Den.
For the Lion's Den.
Pass through Rosendale and hope we don't get ticketed. On our way down to the Kohl Center, we're going to go right down East Wash at that point.
It's such bullshit what Rosendale does.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
They've really scaled it back. I think they just wanted to pay for that expansion to the city streets that put everyone up on a hill with a paved wall.
It's tyranny, Nick. It's fucking tyranny.
I haven't been pulled over there ever. Knock on wood.
It's the definition of oppression.
Maybe I'm
just. It is.
Yeah, maybe I'm just a really good driver.
The state's stealing from me.
And just like the state's stealing from you, John, well, the Badgers are stealing from their opponents. Let's go and find out more about it.
What else is the state stealing?
The Bucky Bugle, the school newspaper of For the W.
The Bucky Bugle, the first unadmitted Wisconsin student newspaper of note.
Well, one day, we decided it was time to get deep undercover for some Wisconsin college sleuthin and truthin.
Wait, are those Brad Davidson's footprints on that pair of testicles?
Sounds like Brad Davison is afoot.
Wait, is that Greg Gard in this rural, small Minnesota town?
A recruiting hotbed.
Wait, is that Shaka Smart leering down from the Fiserv Forum rafters?
I see he's back on this side of the Mississippi.
College basketball coverage on For the W, a Wisconsin sports podcast brought to you by the Bucky Bugle.
And we are sleuthin.
And truthin, Nick. Nick.
Whoa. Man, I smacked my head on the mic.
Uh-oh. Paul Chryst got a 5-year extension, killing our dreams of a Jim Leonard head coaching reign.
Yeah, Chryst is once again risen. Leonard is still there. But also some exciting news. Bobby Ingram now is going to be the offensive coordinator. Former Seattle Seahawk was also on the staff of the ill-fated Baltimore Ravens, a team that's just spiraling out of control into a state of nothingness and endless Packers draft caps.
And Nick, with that being said,
knock on wood,
I love that hire.
It's going to be a good one for us.
Because it will fight everything that all of Paul Chryst's weaknesses are his aversion to the passing game when he doesn't necessarily have the talent or the reps in or the trust of the players executing the scheme. And it will really allow us to take Wisconsin football to the next level because he's a creative play designer. It's a very diverse offense that he employs.
Yep.
Really exciting stuff there.
And it's also sick when you look at what we saw out of Huntley when the Packers played them. Some very creative stuff with a backup quarterback who looked like he was supposed to be there.
Yes.
And you look at what they've done with Lamar Jackson. Like Ingram is going to bring a nice little element to the Badgers, especially in college football where you can take so much better advantage of a running quarterback. And the Badgers have never properly done that, even when Russ Wilson was there. And how do you not take advantage of it with Russ there?
And Russ it's interesting because the Badgers, I think, were really hurt by the 7-on-7 culture that has surrounded high school football and prep football for the better part of 10 years now. But like you said about Ingram with the Packers Hundley game, that is the sign of an offensive coordinator who is empowering the players to perform to the best of their abilities and giving their team a chance to win. I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about that.
And then, I mean, when you look at the compatibility of that offense too, Baltimore typically has a pretty solid offensive line. There's a team in Wisconsin that plays college football that has that very frequently, almost always.
We got the bodies.
Yeah, we got the
big bodies.
But also just we're also a very tight end centric team. Like the Badgers pretty much always have a ton of guys that came out of Wisconsin, went to the pros, and even a couple, I think, played for the Ravens at some point.
Yep.
I could be wrong.
Jim Leonard played for the Ravens under Rex Ryan.
Well, that's for sure. But yeah, to see these guys that they go to the pros, but especially at the tight end position and what they were able to do there with Andrews as well. Like, dude, Ingram's a nice fit for the talent we've got now. I know we don't have the exact same roster as this past year, but to get something out of these guys that's a little bit more pro ready, but also, can use these factors. Like, we have not under Chris taken advantage of the running quarterback option. Now, maybe it's because Mertz will be a pocket quarterback, but it's nice to be able to play a couple different ways, especially in college.
I think, and Wisconsin's offense very much resembles the offense that has become the dominant look in the pro game, the Kyle Shanahan and really Mike Shanahan.
Oh, yeah, like the zone blocking.
Yeah. Badgers have been doing that forever. But what's really interesting is, like you said, the different ways that his offense uses the quarterback and gets the quarterback into bootleg situations, which is what under Barry Alvarez, Darrell Bevel, Brooks Bollinger, the best Badger quarterbacks we've ever seen. The naked bootleg was the play. That was the one they used on the goal line, and they scored with every time because our running game was so dominant right up the middle. Teams would load in trying to stop Ron Dane or whoever. Yep. And like I said, or Brent Moss or Terrell Fletcher, Dale Bevel, or Brooks Bollinger would scoot out the backfield into the end zone. I think we're going to see a lot of really interesting quarterback movement, which is really – there is a Graham Mertz revival story out there somewhere.
There is. I mean, he's still a young guy.
If we find that guy, the guy who came in, we could be cooking with gas, Nick.
Well, yeah, and maybe that also is helped by this addition of Ingram.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see for sure. I didn't really even intend to talk Badgers football.
No, didn't even have it written down.
Dude, that was good. Good stuff. I'm now pumped. I hope you are too.
Me
we're
too.
We're going to have a bunch of guys coming back. I'm also really excited. There's been talk that the Packers were talking with Jack Sanborn. So there's going to be a lot of Badgers going into the pros soon here. So that'll probably be something we're going to continue to talk about as we get into scouting. Dude, I would love to we should do something with like draft scouting. We'll talk more, but maybe like a mock draft site or something. That would be really fun to do with some of the listeners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But anyway, let's get to basketball.
Yeah, so
Badger
getting to Badger basketball.
Turn the page to this page 2 of the Bucky Bugle, and you'll see very clearly in bold attention.
It's feeling pretty good right now. Our standings, man. We're first, man.
Number one.
We're there.
Number one.
And which leads us to a very hot, a very spicy situation coming up here.
It burns, Nick. It burns.
We will be playing Mr. Kofi
Coburn.
Yes, Coburn. For all you listening at home, you know for sure that the name Cockburn is pronounced Coburn.
Cockburn if it's 2 words and not a name.
Cockburn. So we are going to see the Illinois Fighting Illini.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Yeah,
that's what the warning's for, folks.
Yeah, we put the warning at the beginning because we are going to talk about Cockburn. Okay, it's just gonna happen.
With a guy named Kofi Coburn spelled Cockburn, we're going to talk about Cockburn.
And it's a small conference, so it's going to spread around.
You're going to say small Cockburn.
Small conference, the Big Ten Conference. So, I mean, Cockburn gets a lot of places. He's
going to
be this time hosting us. So that'll be on Wednesday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. So if you're lucky, you might see that game over and over and over until you win the love of Andy McDowell. However, John, before we start dealing with Cockburn next week, we did have a couple other conference wins.
We did, and we beat the teams we were supposed to by margins that were bigger than nothing, but not like dominant by any means. We played Nebraska and Minnesota, and we won both of them, as you said. In the Nebraska game, we won 73-65 in Lincoln, and against Minnesota here in Madison at the Kohl Center, we beat them 66-60. Nick, what did you see in these two games that get you excited to face your next battle with Cockburn?
Yeah, so as we
Coburn.
As we try to avoid Cockburn and get to Coburn, we're going to be looking at, just as you and I predicted at these games, the Big Ten is a tough conference. The Cornhuskers are 6-14. They're not a tough team.
No.
We and I said this last week on the pod. this team has some bucks to them in the way that we have played down to some of our competition, but also we've played very well against our best competition. So if that gets you a win net, I'm good with it. This game, obviously, it just decided by 8 points. But the thing that was interesting to me is we talked last week on the pod, and I thought it was early, but you did say it. You said we don't have 5 Tigers.
Well,
it's starting to look like, first of all, Chucky Hepburn, this game, going back to his hometown, having a lot of emotional stuff he was dealing with, death of a close friend, only 25 minutes, put down 13 points, ended up tied for second on the team, but also Crowell stepped up.
Yes.
So with Wall kind of following behind, I'm willing to go back and say
we're back to 5 Tigers.
To 5 Tigers.
Back to 5 Tigers. They immediately silenced me. Now, we will see against Cockburn and the Fighting Illini coming up here, or Coburn, excuse me, and the Fighting Illini coming up here, exactly how real that Stephen Crowell performance and that Chucky Hepburn performance or performances were, because it's one thing to do that what they did against Minnesota and Nebraska. It's another thing to do it against a guy who can really just make your whole life miserable once you start trying to get inside on him, which is what the Illini have. And it's something where Chucky Hepburn, I was saying this pre-pod, this dude looks like a shooter to me. His shooting stroke is so good, but he really doesn't take a lot of them. Now, that is because we did have Tyler Wall back in both of these games, which was really huge to see. And when you look at the Nebraska box score, we offensive rebounded 27.9% of our misses, which means more than 1 out of every 4 shots we put up, we were getting the offensive rebound for. And we only allowed them to offensive rebound 3% of their own misses, which means that for a total of 1 offensive rebound, so only 1 second possession for them, or second chance for them. Against the elite competition, we need those rebounding numbers to still be very high because we have the size. Chris Vogt, especially coming in off the bench, Stephen Crowell, Tyler Wall, those 3 Tigers, to me, of varying Tigerdom, are really what is the make or break for this team, more so even than Johnny Davis's scoring, which is always going to be pretty good, Brad Davison's spot-up shooting, which is always going to be pretty good, and Chucky Hepburn's defense, which is always going to be pretty good.
Well, the other thing, too, is that we've kind of seen Carlson get more minutes than Vogt the last couple games.
Yeah.
Which is a little interesting. So are we playing around with the matchups? Are we kind of trying to play around with that's kind of where I see it going.
Well, so if you look at it, though, a lot of those minutes for Carlson come as one of 2 forwards on the team or on the floor at the same time. The center minutes, if you look at it, so 32, it was 32 for Stephen Crowell and 11 for Ben Carlson. So that means at least 3 of those minutes were actually spent at another forward spot because Chris Vogt still had 8 more minutes. So there was a lot of Carlson and Vogt together.
Yeah.
We were playing much bigger the last couple games. And that's an interesting development. I'm not a big fan of Lauren Bowman. I think his minutes are a big negative compared to what Chucky Hepburn provides, or Jonathan Davis or Brad Davison. Like, that's a big downgrade.
Well, the only thing I will say for Bowman's credit is in the Minnesota game, he was the only bench points we had. Everything else was scored by the starting lineup. So I will give him that little credit. But I do like the fact that we're trying out all these other guys in like limited minutes. Obviously not a huge win against Minnesota either. Badgers taking it 66-60 at the Kohl Center.
Yep.
But man, I like the consistency we've got in these 5 Tigers. Now, Hepburn didn't have as big a game, but still got 32 minutes. And I think plus minus, we don't have the numbers on it. He's a plus because of the defense he plays as well. And, kind of talking about him, he looks like a shooter. I wonder if it's a confidence thing too, because when he chooses to shoot and he looks like he means it, but I think being a younger guy, maybe he's kind of just still feeling it out. Either way, it hasn't stopped him from playing excellent defense. But then when you look at the rest of that lineup, we saw Crowell get 11, Wall got 15, Davison 14, and then Davis 16 to lead the pack. But man, to have that kind of balance, basically every guy in double figures, and then Johnny Davis, my apologies, Johnny, 15 rebounds against Minnesota. Dude, this guy is sick.
He's a monster. He affects the game in all the ways.
He's something else. And I think the better he plays, the more likely I think it's that he's not back next year, unfortunately. But
yeah, no, he's a top 10 pick right now.
He looks great.
On all the mock drafts for the NBA, he's a top 10 pick. So now, Nick, Illinois is tied for us for first in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So this is a huge game in Champaign, my wife's alma mater. At 9 p.m. on Wednesday, we go down to Champaign, do some Champaign and
Wait, is that Wisconsin time? Or is it?
8 p.m. Wisconsin time. Yeah, no. Once you start crossing borders, Nick, I get a little confused.
Gets crazy.
Yeah, especially with Michigan and their fucking Eastern time zone shit, even though they're connected to never mind.
Michigan's a walking, hanging contradiction.
But we do have Penn State at the end of the week on Saturday to kind of trap game, by the way, but to kind of like take the ease off before we got Michigan State in East Lansing next week, Tuesday. Nick, do you have a prediction for this Illinois game?
I don't have a ton of predictions. I do feel like the way that we've played this year, it bodes better than last year for us.
Yeah.
Like last year, looking at this Badgers team, they were so spotty. It seemed like we had better talent, but overall, like this is a better team, and they've really had better performances. I don't know if that's necessarily like the players are all better, but they're working together better. And I think this might be the type of team that can finally put a little ointment on the cockburn. And I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He destroyed us last year.
We have the big men now, though. We've got like four guys that can play some solid defense.
Vought's going to get minutes in this one. Carlson's going to get minutes. We're going to be in foul trouble. This dude he's averaging 21 and 12. He is a monster.
And maybe we do that. We throw Carlson in, get a couple fouls, like that.
Yep. Just throw as much as you can at that ache in the middle,
Yep. And we know for sure that whatever way this one shakes out,
yeah,
I'm going to get to watch it over and over until I steal Andy McDowell's heart. But I'm married, so it's never going to work out. I'm just going to be living that same day over and over.
I'm going to say the Badgers are going to win in Champaign. Johnny Davis is going to have 30. Tyler Wall is going to have 20. Brad Davison's going to get ejected. And this is going to be the game of the year when everybody wakes up to this Wisconsin team. And they're going to win 87-72 in convincing fashion and with an offensive onslaught. Chucky Hepburn's going to hit 3 threes. I got all sorts of predictions for you.
You're just throwing shit out there. just something will stick. You come back next year like,
nailed it.
33%.
Hey, you got to hit when you're hitting from downtown, Nick.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yeah, really, it's Cockburn and a bunch of guys. Cockburn in the pubes,
Trent Frazier, who might be related to Tim Frazier, I believe. Former Milwaukee Buck.
I don't know. There's one way to find out, and it'd be to Google it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, I think we have a better shot. Really, I think we have a better shot with we have a bigger lineup this year. But we'll see, man. Hopefully that gets us there. It'll be fun to watch either way. And I really have nothing else to add on the Badgers.
Nope. Brad Davison became first all-time in Wisconsin three-pointers made for a career, though, which makes it unimpressive, kind of, because he's played a lot.
He's played like 46 years. So, yeah, anybody can do that. Moving right along. An intro that was too hot for YouTube for mere minutes due to the graphic nature of the music. As we go on, we remember we travel east down I-94 past the now very open Highway Harry's, John. Very open. And I guess once we get to Milwaukee, we'll see you for some Cream City.
The Bucks, man. The Bucks. And like The 2021 Milwaukee Bucks, we persevered. We kept the defensive pressure high. We just played to our strengths. We listened to Coach Bud, and we fucking grinded it out, Nick.
Cream City New Holiday has been excellent for our starting lineup.
He's a Giannis. He plays Giannis, and he's a Giannis. Their coach is still Mike Budenholzer, Nick.
Not surprised. Going to that last game in Game 6, I just felt deep within my soul, we've got this.
Now, Nick, you may say, was it really that lopsided? And Nick, I would say, fuck yeah, it was, man. The Bucks are champions of the fucking world.
And yes, welcome once again to another championship edition. We're still the world champions of the NBA, Milwaukee Bucks, and we're going to talk to you on this edition of the Cream City Keys, John. We're going to talk about what is working, what is not, why we need a big man. We've been saying it for a few weeks now.
Well, Nick,
you and I went to the Cream City. We had a nice little trip.
that's where I want to start this segment, Nick. Last week, the Milwaukee Bucks played on Wednesday, the Cleveland Cavaliers, after which Giannis was eating chicken wings.
He was. They looked good.
The chicken wings, that is, he said we suck and they played better than us. That is for sure. I would like to note the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to do so because they were significantly bigger than us at multiple positions across the board. Fast forward to Friday when you and I first decided to start talking about the chicken wing incident because we were going to the Bucks game.
Yep.
So
we thought it was awesome for the record.
We thought it was awesome. We thought it was so cool. And so...
Still do a little bit.
Yep, really do. But then when I saw the Nuggets game, I will say that I've become a bit dismayed at the fact that we can be dominated like that so easily in a game against an opponent that we may see in the NBA Finals. Like, the Nuggets are that good. And Nikola Jokic is that good, and he made mincemeat out of us, including Giannis. And so, Nick, with all that being said, all of it is a bit more reactionary than what the real experience on the ground is with this Milwaukee Bucks team. And this last Friday against the New York Knickerbockers, you and I went to our first game of the season, and it was a wonderful time.
Yeah, still is. It's a good memory now.
Oh, my God. Up here.
The parts I remember.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Pro tips for going to the Bucks game. Pro tip number 1.
Eat 12 times.
Eat 12 times. Stop at the German Brauhaus. Get yourself a big old thing of beer or soda. But
you're lucky.
Big cups there, big mugs.
Big mugs.
Admire the amount of pints people have drank at that establishment. They keep tabs on the walls.
There's a pretty cool ranking. I don't spend enough time in that area to make it worth my while, but the people that have, respect.
Yep. Hats off.
Zevia's for you.
Hats off to all the folks at the Milwaukee Broadhouse, at Buck Bradley's, at the Brauhaus. Nick, excellent pregame festivities around Milwaukee's stadium.
And this is in January.
Yeah.
If this was nice weather, Milwaukee, it'd be a totally different story.
We're gonna go to that. We're gonna go to a spring game.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna wear our Giannis Zoom Freak for the W3s.
Yeah, we are. Fuck yeah, because we couldn't wear them.
Yeah, we didn't want to mess them up. Yeah, so we I don't even know if we talked about this, but we each have a pair of the Giannis Zoom Freak 3s, and actually we're wearing them right now for the W theme, but that's neither here nor there because we're giving them away still to Zach.
Yep, congratulations, Zach.
And when the weather gets nicer, we're really pumped to wear these at that game.
Yes.
But for now, it was worth it just to be there, just to be in the presence, just to see a victory. I ate 15 times.
Yeah, we ate at the game, before the game, after the game, twice.
We ate a lot.
And multiple times, multiple things within those meals. Nick. But what we did see was some bullshit from Nerlens Noel trying to take Giannis's head off, and then Karma coming back and messing up his hand and his knee. He missed
That's
the
right.
next game.
And that whole thing was so goofy because, like, what the heck? Like, if you're going to go and there was all this static in the air from the Grayson Allen incident.
And Grayson Allen was laughing his ass off after that. He was laughing his
And Grayson had a pretty nice game, too.
Yeah, Grayson looked good. But he was laughing his absolute ass off at the sheer hypocrisy that is the National Basketball Association. So, but Nick, the Bucks looked really good in that one.
Yeah, they had a really nice game, and it was one of those where they got out a little bit ahead, and they just sort of extended the lead as the game went on. They just kind of kept pushing it out, and made for a really fun game to watch. We had plenty of goofing around, and but man, I love the Fiserv, man. That's a great venue.
Unbelievable facility. Love Fiserv Forum.
Aaron Rodgers, owner of the Chicago Bears, was not there.
Nope, but he is also still owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe, or did he sell his
As far as I know, he owns the Bucks too. So he owns
Yep.
the Bucks and the Bears.
Yep. Giannis owns the Brewers.
Yep. So between those two, they own a lot of tough stuff.
Yeah, they do. Can I get 5?
We need like Christian
I get
Yelich
5?
to buy like some Packers stock.
Right.
And then we'll have the trifecta.
Man,
Corbin Burns is the guy that I want to be the owner of the Packers.
I did not see this coming. Tell me more.
I just think that that's the best guy going forward that's on the level of like a Giannis or a Rodgers.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Corby.
I think so too. If he can stay, his pitch count was definitely lower than most of this like elite pitchers, but he still won the Cy Young anyway because he's a beast.
We'll have to ask Francisco to give us the lowdown. We got to get to some of that eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as we can see with the wandering nature of this conversation,
Yeah.
it is a little bit difficult to talk about the Bucks right now because I'm a little bit scared that this is the team that we may see in the playoffs, and I don't know if this team currently has constructed, especially following those 2 losses to the Cavs and the Nuggets where we were physically imposed upon, something that never happened in the Brook Lopez era and doesn't happen to Brook Lopez teams, was a bit startling to me. It was a bit startling. But so some fundamentals, Bucks are at 111.8 points per game this season, giving up 108.8, which is 15th, but their offensive rating is 112.2, so that's points per 100 possessions. That's 9th out of the association, and our defensive rating is now 10th. A bit of a slide back. I mean, a significant slide back as far as one game can do. It's after that Denver game. Our net rating is now plus 2.9, which is by far the lowest at this point in the season of any team coached by Bud here in this Bucks era. So, I mean, should I be concerned as I am, Nick? Or
No.
Okay.
So the Bucks right now are 5th in the Eastern Conference. They're 2 games out of first place in the entire Eastern Conference. Now, if I'm talking about like teams that had like playoff aspirations that should be freaking out right now, like the Celtics, the Hawks, the Knicks, So, yeah, is this what we want to see out there? I don't think so. I don't think this is the final iteration we want from this team. But is it time to freak out if we don't have Brook Lopez? That's a good question, too. I think we've talked about his age, you and I, privately, never in public. That's no rude.
No.
He's not even that old. He's not older than us.
Right.
So
No.
he's not even that old.
No.
He's still
He's a young,
young,
scrappy little guy.
Young guy.
A kid.
Yeah, another guy about the same age as him, is his brother, twin brother Robin Lopez. So, are we looking at bringing in a Robin Lopez if we know Brook can't go? I know it's not really something.
Trade deadline is 10 days away,
yeah,
Nick.
that's what I'm saying.
Trade deadline is 10 days away, and that's the thing with this team is how confident are we in a Brook Lopez that is coming off of back surgery?
And maybe he is, but maybe it's not till March, April, May, June.
Everybody is very confident about it, but like, are we hitching our wagon to that? And if that's the way that it is, if we are that confident that Brook's going to come back, maybe then there are other positions in need. We can get another big wing. We could like a PJ Tucker style because the Semi Ojeleye stuff has not worked out. We could get, but then again, like Grayson Allen and Dante more than half replace it, but that we just look a little small. all across the board this year when Giannis is playing up at that center spot.
Yeah.
It makes us very noticeably average in the size. And
you and I have
height
never
department.
enjoyed that
No.
Giannis at center lineup.
No.
Last
Last year in the playoffs, Brook Lopez played 29 minutes per game. He helped be a huge, I would say probably the biggest upgrade in performance came from either him or Bobby Portis in those 2 games Giannis missed in the Eastern Conference Finals. Could we survive that right now? No. And is Brook Lopez going to be good enough? If not, like you said, Robin Lopez. I think there's another guy. Portland is going through, they could have a bit of a fire sale here, and they've got a guy, Yusuf Nurkic, the Bosnian Beast, who is another big guy at the rim, very good rim protector. But we've got an interesting set of games coming up here until that trade deadline. On the trade deadline, we do play the Phoenix Suns at 10 p.m. So by the time we play the Phoenix Suns at 10 p.m. in Phoenix on 9 p.m. Wisconsin time, we will know what the final iteration of this Bucks roster going forward looks like. But before then, we do have the Wizards who are scrapping for their playoff lives.
Yeah.
We've got the Trailblazers who are kind of in this limbo. We've got the Clippers who have basically
going to
up.
LA for a couple days.
Yep. LA for a couple days. The Clippers and the Lakers are both in town, and we are as well. And Chris Middleton.
We're going to their town.
Yeah, we're going to their town. Chris Middleton, do not be out partying. In Phoenix, don't be out partying. We know you love to party out there, but bro, or do it, but we got to win at some point.
Save it for Florida. You're going to get in trouble with mask stuff out in LA.
That's true.
Save it for Florida.
That's true. Things to think, Nick. Things to think. But so it'll be interesting to see what we do. I think this trade deadline, more than anything, will be very telling as to how confident we are that Brook Lopez will return to elite post play and post defense and rim protection and rebounding. Because if he's not able to do that, it makes us a lot less, gives us a lot less juice, you know?
Yeah, and if we want the juice to get loose, we really need Brook to come back and help us.
Yep, absolutely.
Allegedly. But yeah, if not, we need to make a move. If we're not going to have him back, we need somebody that can play that role. Because the Bucks have some bucks to them.
Yeah.
So maybe we would see a playoff team different than this, but you would really like to see us going in at full strength.
John Horst likes to make moves. I will say that both Drew and Giannis came out after the Nuggets game and said that the scheme that they were running is not the best scheme to defend Jokic, that they should have defended him one-on-one and let the other guys beat him, which was interesting because it seems like there's a message there somewhere. Either Drew and Giannis coming out publicly is sending a message to Bud, which we saw during the playoffs last year from PJ Tucker a lot and from Drew on a couple occasions where they would openly suggest that the game plan for the previous game was not the ideal one and that they would be making adjustments moving forward. So it could be that. It could be Drew and Giannis talking to Bud. It could also be Bud sending a message to John Horst that we don't have the guys to guard this guy one-on-one. So we have to address that because that's the best way to defend him. And Giannis and Chris know it. And we don't have a guy who can do it. Bobby can't do it. And so it's just interesting. It was interesting timing, and it was a lot different tone than the chicken wings. But the problem was the same. In both the Cavs game and the Nuggets game, we got out-rebounded, and we got crushed at the rim, and we got beat up by bigger guys than we have. So things to think, Nick.
Yeah, and you do kind of wonder, too, like if we're playing against the Nuggets in a 7-game series, are we going to come flat this many games? Maybe. Title of your sex tape? I don't know. That's another question.
The Serbian monster in Denver, like Popovich compared him to Larry Bird. A lot of people have compared him to Bill Walton.
Would you call him the Serbian monster and the Bosnian beast?
And they were both on the same team, and they traded the Bosnian beast, who went on to go have a really good career in Portland.
And where does the Beast of Bray Road fit in?
The Beast of Bray Road could be in some way related to both of them. I do know that Serbian and Bosnian, they are former Slavic states. They had Yugoslavia. It's a total aside, way away from everything.
Oh, nobody is going to enjoy this.
Had Yugoslavia, the nation, not broken up into all those different countries, their basketball team would be ridiculous. You'd have Luka Doncic from Slovenia. You'd have Jusuf Nurkic from Bosnia. You'd have Teletovic from Bosnia. Bogdanovic from Bosnia and Bogdanovic from Serbia. You'd have Jokic from Serbia. That team would be lights out and would likely beat the U.S. had they stayed together.
So if you can help us put that together, tell us about it at podcastforthew@gmail.com.
I got nothing else, Nick.
That was something else. That was good.
So an ode to peace.
An ode to peace and prosperity.
Yeah.
And so is that it for the episode, I guess?
We can end on the Slavic states.
All right. Well, we'll get there eventually.
I used to roll with Yugoslavia in a soccer video game back in the early 90s.
That's the stuff.
Thank you to all the listeners.
All those folks out there that are fans of all of those different states that broke off of Yugoslavia.
Nick, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our newly launched YouTube, where the first For the W short is up and live.
We've got it all. We're coming at you quick. Title of our sex tape. And I've used that one too many times in this, but thank you for joining us. And listen again next week.
Thank you, everybody. Rate, review, subscribe. 5 stars. Only rating being accepted at this time. If you want to give us less than 5 stars, please forward all addresses to our address in the Yugoslavia. What? Or Yugoslavia.
For the spell like words.